What's going on, YouTube? We're actually going to get ready to do a job I haven't actually done before, which is on a 2007 Honda Pilot Hybrid. Yeah, the radiator is leaking and it's at the bottom corner. Not something you can really repair. It looks like it's where the plastic and the metal can join. So we're going to be replacing that, and I've never done this before, so I'm pretty excited. Hope you enjoy, and as always, let's get to it. First step is to remove this engine cover, mainly just to add extra light down in there because this is a tight fit. Now we'll use a 10mm bolt to remove this air inlet. Be sure the engine is cool and remove your radiator cap. Then remove your coolant reservoir hose. Then we need to remove this grill, and it's just a bunch of little clips that we need to pop off the top. Then we need to reach down and disconnect the clips on the bottom of the grill. And this is gonna take a while, so we're gonna be doing this at double speed. Here are the clips on the bottom side of the grill. I used a very small flathead screwdriver to pop them off. Do be careful because they will break. Then we need to take off the hood latch. Disconnect the support bar to the crossbar. And go ahead and remove the crossbar bolts. Now we'll remove the horns. Now just lift the crossbar up and out of the way. Now disconnect the clips to the horn speakers and move them out of the way. And this one's been a little more difficult because there's more clips and sensors connected to the bottom of it. Disconnect the hood latch sensor and you'll be able to move the whole hood latch and cable out of the way. Now we're going to unplug the cooling fan. Next we're going to pop loose the electrical connectors all across the cooling fan to make it where it'll slide easily out the top. Remove the top two bolts holding the cooling fan in place. Now on this cooling fan, there's two bolts on the bottom as well, unlike the normal slots on other vehicles. And also unclip the cooling lines from the fan. Now we try to lift the cooling fans up and I get stuck, so we're gonna have to do something else as well. So I noticed I was getting stuck on the upper radiator hose, so I'm going to remove that. Little pro tip, when hoses are being stubborn, grab some channel locks and twist, and that will break the friction that is holding it to the plastic and should remove off much easier. Now we should have enough clearance to lift the fan on out. Now we're going to drain the coolant system. You can do this first, but my hand's so large I couldn't get it inside there, so I had to remove the fan out of the way so that I could access the drain plug much easier. Now I was trying to remove the lower radiator hose and there's just not a lot of room in there, so I actually removed 2 bolts to the connection and removed it that way. Now we have to get this lower radiator hose bracket off, and I'm gonna fight this for a little while so you get to watch. Nope, still not working. If I just squeeze the clamp hard enough, no. One more try, this'll definitely get it. Yeah, no. Alright, enough playing around. I'm going to get a grind wheel and cut off a notch on this clamp to give myself a little more freedom to squeeze it tighter. And after much struggling and fighting with this particular clamp, I finally have success. Now we're going to take the top radiator bracket off with a 10mm socket. This radiator also has 2 bolts on the bottom holding it to a bottom bracket. Once they are removed, you can lift the radiator on out. Now we'll install our new radiator. Reinstall our top radiator bracket. Don't forget the bottom 2 bolts, which can be a major pain. So yeah, you remember that clamp that gave me such a fit? We're gonna just get rid of that. And we're going to replace it with some new screw type clips. So we're gonna install that new clamp and tighten it on up and make it much easier to service. Now I know what you might be thinking. You're saying, hey, big guy, you didn't reinstall the lower radiator hose bracket. Well, good news. Your new radiator actually comes with that bracket already installed. I only removed it because I couldn't get my hands down in there to release that clamp. And as you saw how much I struggled with it, it probably wasn't going to come off anyways. I had to cut it in order to get enough room to play to squeeze that clamp off. So anyways, just a little bit of information for you. Don't be judging. Now we're going to install our cooling fans. Reattach the cooling reservoir hose. And now we're going to start installing the radiator fan bolts. Next, we're going to reinstall the horn speakers. And don't forget to reconnect electrical wires as you go along. Now we're going to install our crossbar. Next, we're going to install our hood latch. And now we're going to reinstall our horn speakers to the cross member. Reattach the upper radiator hose. And now reinstall our grill. Reattach our air intake hose. And don't forget about these pesky little bolts on the bottom. Now we're going to fill up the radiator with antifreeze, and as you will see, it doesn't fill up very quickly, kind of bubbles up a whole lot, and we're going to show you a tip for that. So we're going to disconnect the upper radiator hose to allow it to breathe. And with that upper radiator hose disconnected, we can pour in the antifreeze much more efficiently. And if you've bought pure concentrated antifreeze, don't forget to mix in a little water. And finally, we'll fill up our reservoir. Next step is to start it up. Let it run for a little while. And then top off your fluids and take it for a test run. Well guys, that's how you do a radiator on an 07 Honda Pilot Hybrid. It was definitely a huge learning experience for me. Those bottom two bolts on the radiator are the most difficult part of the job, I thought. Some of you with smaller hands might find that part easy, I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to allow it to run, get to operating temperature, and recheck your fluid levels. All of this will help you make sure it doesn't overheat as you drive down the road. Hey, and don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell. Press that little bell button so you get notifications every time we upload new content. Thank you all. God bless.